What's up, Armchair Fandom? Thank you for joining us live. If you're not with us right now and you watch this video at a later time, we appreciate you being with us, checking out the video. Today we, on the spur of the moment, came up with the idea we're going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi pre-show, talk about the series that's dropping, I suppose, tonight at midnight. Is that right, Ashley?
I believe so, yes. I can't believe it's you, Lucas. My gosh, you're alive. We can call off the search party.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know. Kick a guy when he's down. Anyways, if you like the channel...
That's what the Z stands for.
Yeah, keep interrupting our promotional material here, man.
I'm here to help
you. Channel's never going to grow. If you like our content, hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to thank Ashley for joining me, Darth Pane. As you know, I am the real Last Jedi, but today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before we get into our expectations or anything about this series, I want me and Ashley to both give our histories with the Star Wars franchise. I'm going to let Ashley go first.
Well, the best should go first. It's like you say, it's, everybody's been beating down my message boards wanting us to get back on. And I said, fly by night fans, back as soon as we can, and here we are for all our fans. But anyway, my exposure to Star Wars clearly came when I was younger. My parents took me to see it when I was 1977. And again, I fell in love with the whole original trilogy, and I, like a lot of people, was a little bit trepidatious when the prequels were announced, but I wanted to get the story of how Darth Vader, came to be Darth Vader, and seeing little Anakin rolling around on his pod racers, despite the Jar Jar Binks being in there. Liam Neeson and being in the prequels, I really come to appreciate him more and more as the years have gone on, especially with the sequel trilogy fiasco. But no matter what Lucasfilms does with those sequel trilogies, they should trash every one of them. Despite the shirt I'm wearing, they'll never be able to steal the joy from me of having enjoyed the original trilogy, the prequels, and the Clone Wars. And that really is some of the best movie experiences I've ever had. And the fact that I got to read the Legends universe, the Darth Pane trilogy, which is the best Star Wars ever, and it's only a little bit mentioned in canon, just tells you just how much this franchise has been so good for all these years, and the fact that they're done what they've done to it really makes me go to the dark side even more.
Yeah. I'm a little bit younger than you, and so when this when Star Wars, the first movie, released in 1977, I was too young to actually get into it. But I remember back in the early 80s when the VHS, the VCRs, and the VHS tapes were first coming into being, that some people that we knew had Return of the Jedi on VHS. And I would catch the ending of that movie over and over and over, kind of out of the corner of my eye while I was doing my own thing. It was several years later when I was actually in high school. My mom worked at a video store renting movies and anything that was in stock at night when she quit. It was quitting time. We could take home and watch it. And I'm browsing around the store one day, and I'm like, I'm going to take this Star Wars trilogy home and watch it. Knew pretty much what it was about, but that's when I really became a fan. And then when I found out the prequels were coming out, I really wasn't that excited about it, but some friends of mine asked me to go camp out at the theater that night, and it wasn't as big as like it was in the late 70s with that movie, but just for nostalgia reasons, they wanted to go camp out, so I joined them. We went to the theater and camped all night and hung out all the next day and got our tickets for The Phantom Menace. When The Phantom Menace came out, I understand everybody's gripes about the prequels, but what was original when the prequels came out, what was a new movie-going experience when those movies came out, is you knew, you're a little bit older than me, you might know some movies in the past that came out with prequels. to my knowledge, the Star Wars prequels were one of a kind. For a franchise to come out and tell the first part of a story where you already knew the end of the story. And that was the unique experience of the prequels, is that you knew where it ended up, but you wanted to see how all these pieces fell into place and got it to that point.
The minute you found out Empire that Vader is Luke's father, you're like, holy crap, this is Anakin Skywalker? What's the backstory here? There's so much more.
Yeah. And we'll get into more of that here in a minute. But that was my experience with it. And then when Force Awakens comes out, I was so pumped when that movie came out. I went and watched it. I know you didn't like it. I liked it. I liked the sequel trilogy all the way up until I saw The Rise of Skywalker. I liked Rogue One, but the hype for me when the sequel trilogy first started coming out was out of this world. I mean, the only Star Wars canon I've actually read was the book that came out before Rogue One. I can't remember the name.
Catalyst.
What's that?
Catalyst.
Yeah, Catalyst. I actually read that book going into that movie. I thought Rogue One was real good, but that's my experience, my history with Star Wars until The Rise of Skywalker. You want to share with us what all you think Rise of Skywalker got wrong?
Well, it pains me to say this, but The Force Awakens is the best of the sequel trilogies that I watched. It pains me to say that. But all The Rise of Skywalker did was go around and try to retcon everything that happened in the movie before. And I'll be honest with you, there wasn't much of Rise of Skywalker I was really a fan of. They really botched the character of Ben Solo throughout. And when I saw Palpatine hooked up to that, I had no problem with the fact that there's another Sith world in Exegol. Fine, no problem with that. You know, Korriban is the Sith home world, and, you know, since I'm here, of course, and the main study as far as the Sith archives and everything associated with Sith started here. I had no problem with Exegol being there. But you did not need to bring Palpatine back. And it was just such a train wreck. It looked like it was thrown together. And the ironic thing about it is, like I mentioned getting an outline, my parents took me to see Star Wars, the very first movie in 77, episode 4. We had to go to Oak Hill. They didn't have it in Beckler. We had to go to Oak Hill to see it. My dad and I, in almost a symbolic type of gesture, my dad went and saw Rise of Skywalker with me, and when it was over, we looked at each other and said, and that pretty much sums up my Rise of Skywalker sequence I've experienced. Everything just happened it was all so convenient, and and the very ending with Rey and Rey Skywalker and all this stuff, it's just, oh gosh, it's just, why do you think I concentrate so much on the books half the time? The comics is the only thing Lucasfilm's halfway got it right.
That was my reaction coming out of The Rise of Skywalker. Every movie I had watched, every Star Wars movie I'd ever seen in theaters prior to The Rise of Skywalker, I came out of, I'm thinking, I just can't go back. I would have been on a turnstile just going in and watching it over and over and over for 3 or 4 straight days. I came out of The Rise of Skywalker. My wife looks at me and says, "What'd you think?" I was like, that wasn't real good. I wasn't real impressed. And then I had already made prior plans to drive about 3 hours away and watch it with my brother and my 3 nephews. And he called me later that night and said, "Well, what'd you think about it?" And I was like, "It was all right." He was like, "Really?" I wouldn't have even watched it the second time if I hadn't already planned on watching it with them. And what I thought it got wrong, and of course most people that don't like the movie realize that this is what they got wrong. But what everybody loved about the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy was the story. There was some bad execution sometimes in the Star Wars franchise, even in the original trilogy. But it was the story of this guy who had fallen to the dark side, whose son that didn't even know he was his father ends up redeeming him at the end of this story arc. And when the Rise of Skywalker brings the guy that they defeated back, it kind of undid it undid all of that. And then at the very end, to rub it in everybody's face, she ends up stealing their name, stealing the fact that she was the final nail in the Palpatine coffin. She stole their homestead, and then she ends up with a pure lightsaber color than Luke Skywalker even had. Her lightsaber was white. So, without saying a whole lot more, man, that's why I didn't like that movie. So now, going into what we are doing a show about, I haven't liked anything in Star Wars since probably The Last Jedi. I know a lot of people have problems with that movie. There's some fun scenes for me in it. Looking back in hindsight, I'm not a big fan of it now. Or The Force Awakens. I wish the sequel trilogy didn't even exist. But Rogue One was good. Everything that's come out on Disney Plus has been mediocre. It's like Lucasfilm, the only thing they're doing is like using window dressing to try to get you to come and buy more of their content. It's like they can't come up with the original characters, so they repackage Yoda, they repackage the Mandalorians and put them in a show about this lone gunman called the Mandalorian. They bring out a show called The Book of Boba Fett, and Boba Fett was only in 2 out of 6 episodes. It should have been The Mandalorian season 2.5. So here we come now. We're going into this Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and just like I predicted the Doctor Strange 2 ending after I saw the first trailer, because I'm wise to what Hollywood's doing now, when I saw the first trailer of this series, I predicted the end of this series as well. Without giving any spoilers, man, what's your excitement level for this series, and where you expect it to go?
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said. I will say, if Lucasfilm can make good Star Wars, I love Rogue One. I thought Solo wasn't bad. I didn't have a problem with those 2 movies. I didn't like the sequel trilogy we both outlined. Believe it or not, I have all the Star Wars movies on Blu-ray. I have never even taken The Last Jedi out of the packet and watched it. I just can't stand it. But talking about Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor was so good as Obi-Wan. When I heard he was coming back, I was really excited about it. I mean, think about this. For all Lucasfilm has done wrong, and you outlined what happened in the sequel trilogy. Do you know how emotional people like us got at the end of Mandalorian Season 2 when you had Luke fly in on that X-Wing and go through all those? Everybody that I grew up with was messaging me, did you see that? Did you see that? That's how much that character resonates with us. If you'd have had Rey fly in there and do something like that, which I'm sure they'd love to do, nobody'd give a rat's rear. Who cares? Come on, it's Luke flipping Skywalker.
Nobody would care. And to be fair, I liked Rey in the first movie.
But I am excited about Obi-Wan. I share your trepidation of what's probably going to happen as far as what could happen toward the end, but what should be done. But the prospects of seeing Ewan McGregor back and seeing Hayden Christensen back is enough to reel me in. I'm sure they're going to pull a guillotine on me at the very end, cut off any hopes I have, and lower the boom at the very last episode. But I'm a sucker for Star Wars, as we all know. So.
I mean, I want to like this so good, but for anybody who's not familiar with the Star Wars franchise,
Bill Collector.
Apologize for yeah. Apologize. That's the internet, Bill Collector. For anybody that's not familiar with the Star Wars franchise, Obi-Wan Kenobi, we was first introduced to him in the first movie that came out in '77, Star Wars, the original Star Wars. This is the poster back here. But it later became known as Star Wars A New Hope when the prequels came out. But we're introduced to Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's this old hermit character who's living in this cave, keeping watch over Luke Skywalker. As we find out, as the story progresses, we find out, and then you see how it came about through the prequels. But he was this character that was supposed to be from a distance, keeping a watchful eye over Luke Skywalker, knowing that he was Anakin Skywalker's son. And so now this series rolls around, and we're supposed to be focusing on a time period that takes place during that time when Obi-Wan Kenobi was supposed to be keeping this watchful eye over Luke from a distance. Like Ashley just said, I'm excited to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. I'm excited for Hayden Christensen to be Anakin in the Darth Vader suit. All that, I'll be interested to see some of the stuff, but my expectations are not real high for what they're going to do for this character, because I believe after this series is done, they're going to do to Obi-Wan what the sequel trilogy did to Anakin's story arc and Luke's story arc. The only story arc they haven't destroyed after this series is over, and I hope I'm wrong, will be the story arc of Darth Vader. Because if you think about it, Anakin and Darth Vader are two different people. The image that fans have of Darth Vader is still going to be intact after this series is over. They've retconned Luke. They've retconned the story of Anakin, his redemption, what he done with the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi. It doesn't mean anything now. And they're getting ready to retcon and destroy the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I hope I'm wrong, like I said, but I wouldn't be surprised. You can start calling me a prophet if this comes to pass. I believe shortly after this series is over, we're going to find out that there's a Darth Vader series coming, because I believe it's an agenda on the part of the leadership of Lucasfilm to completely destroy all of these old characters.
Yeah, because they ripped us off in the sequel trilogy by never having them all together. Killed them off individually, one by one. Although, of course, we can't blame them for the death of Carrie Fisher, but they didn't do much for them. She's about the only character they didn't. Princess Leia's character about the only one they didn't really kill, as far as character-wise, as far as the original legacy characters. I'm waiting for them to do something to Ahsoka's character, who was a great character to come out of the Clone Wars. I'm waiting for that series to come along and totally mess up as well.
No, that'll never happen. That'll never happen for reasons you and I both understand. But when I watched the trailer for Obi-Wan, you'll remember what I told you, which we'll discuss more as the season progresses. These 6 episodes that belong to this series, we'll be doing a live stream every Wednesday night after me and Ashley have both had a chance to watch the latest episode and give our reactions for that particular episode. So we're not going into a lot of anything we really know about the series. There's some characters I'm interested in seeing that's been in the trailers, so this isn't really spoiler territory. There's some Inquisitors that showed up in the Rebels series, Star Wars Rebels, and I'm interested to see some of those characters. Of course, I'm interested to see Darth Vader. I'm interested to see Obi-Wan. But we'll have to revisit what I'm afraid is going to happen with this series as the series progresses.
I'm even curious to see Owen Lars back and see how him and Ewan McGregor interact. Because you know they didn't get along very well.
Played by Joel Edgerton.
Even more pronounced.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I mean, I don't want to run this video too long. It's probably too short for a live video, to be honest. But I wanted to do this one live. I want to do our reactions each Wednesday night live. So if you're watching this, or if you watch this later, be sure on Wednesday nights, probably between 8 and 9, maybe 10 o'clock. I think that's actually what we discussed, about 10 every Wednesday night for the next 6 weeks. Well, 5 weeks, because 2 episodes drop tonight or tomorrow, whenever you're watching it. So it'll actually be 5 weeks. We'll cover 2 episodes tomorrow night, and then 1 episode every Wednesday after that. Between 1 and 10, Ashley, what do What do you think you're going to come away from this rating it as?
It's going to sound like a cop-out answer, but
Hey, man, why you got it?
I'm looking at probably the highest is going to be 7. And that might be stretching. And if they do at the end what I think they're going to do, I'm going to lose what's left in my mind. That I haven't lost here on 4 of all. I'm telling you, I mean, that just everything. Kathleen Kennedy just proves the comparison about her and a bottle of beer. They're both empty to the neck up. So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
So you're predicting a 7?
I'm predicting a 7.
Well, the same way the bidders on The Price is Right would do. I'm going to go 6.9, just so I can underbid you there. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we'll see you again on tomorrow night and every Wednesday night from here on out. It's hard to believe that we actually are Star Wars fans, but we actually are. We just don't like what's happened to the franchise we enjoy. So,
yeah.
Speaking,
well, I'll have the original trilogy, and believe it or not, a lot of the comics they've got some good stories in, and some of the novels have some bad. But boy, you really got to pick and choose. You got to be careful because if you read some of that stuff, you don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. So, like I said when we started, if you like our videos, click the like button, subscribe to our channel, share our videos with other people. Give us some video. Yeah, send questions, content, ideas, any way you want to contribute to the channel. This is an open forum platform, so just get in touch with us. Hit the notification bell so you know when we got new content available, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Or you can go to Facebook at the Facebook group Armchair Fandom, or you can find us at armchair_fandom over on Twitter. You can find us there to contribute. And with all that said, you got anything to add, Ashley, before we close out?
Well, just remember, armchair or fly-by-night fans, or whichever one you want to call it, they have a merchandise hashtag Darth Pane. That's right, yours truly. But be sure to be on the lookout for that. Like I say, and I believe you failed to mention that coming up, we'll be having some streams where we can have other people's interact with us. Won't that just make your day?
Yeah, and that does remind me, man, the high ground is overrated.
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at Ashley Houchins, or leave us a message on Armchair Fandom. You know, we'll get back with you.
And remember, the high ground's overrated. Have a good day.
All right. Later, guys.